So what's the plan? So with all the talking about how to get new people into fighting games, you know, how to get casual people to enjoy fighting games, you know, I often talk about how I think single player content is the key and how modern fighting games, you know, especially if you think about how Street Fighter V launched, you know, just in general, the state of single player content in fighting games. I feel like it used to be better, you know, maybe not much, but it used to be better. And I feel like fighting games these days could have put way more effort into it. Casuals will play for Lily's story, of course. Right? Look on screen, yeah? In that conversation, I often say, man, scenario campaign or scenario mode in Tekken 6. One of my favorite single player modes in a fighting game ever. You know, I played this so much. People hated it back then, like, people really like even reviews gave the game like bad scores because they're like, man, this stinks, you know, this stinks. And I never understood it because scenario mode is basically Tekken Force, a mode people historically loved, but like up to 11, you know. So let's hop in, right? So let me explain this a little bit for people who've never played this. I believe you started here because I've already finished this, you know. So you started here and you would play stage by stage, unlocking the next one as you go. This was also the story mode, right? So each little thingy was the story. And to be fair, you know, before we get too deep into this, this is some of the best single player stuff I've played in fighting games. That doesn't mean it's good. All right, let's set expectations right here. This is still single player content in a fighting game. All right, this is not comparable to any other normal single player game. Compared to other single player games, this is trash. All right, but when it comes to fighting games, this is some of the best, in my opinion. Right? It's not like there's no single player content now. I know people, you know, for example, love to bring up Mortal Kombat and Injustice as great single player content, but I kinda disagree on that. I think the single player stuff in Mortal Kombat and Injustice, it's well made, you know. It are great cutscenes, there's great voice acting, the story, you know, is great if you love it. You know, I like the story in Injustice, for example. But have you ever heard anyone saying, yeah, I love the story mode in Mortal Kombat. Remember this fight? That was sick. No, but no. The fights in between the cutscenes, people don't give a shit about that. Which basically means they're just watching a movie, right? They're watching a well-made fighting game movie. The best single player content I've played in a fighting game is Grand Blue Fantasy. Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about that. And it's kind of in the same vein as this. You know, not really the same, but it has a lot of similar ideas, which we'll get to. So why do I think this is a great single player mode? First of all, it's not exactly the fighting game, but it kind of is. So this is Tekken Force. You're running around in 3D, but once you encounter enemies, you're still doing your fighting game moves. But it's nowhere near, you know, like high stakes as an actual fight. So what I think is great about it is that, you know, if you're not into being super competitive in fighting games, this is not like that at all. But at the same time, you are using your character, you are using, you know, like, look, you can do the combos, you can do the stuff if you want to, right? These are Lily's moves, just like in the fight, right? So to me, that's like a really great blend. You're not doing something completely different, like it's not a random mini game. It's actually the fighting, but it's nowhere near as intense or competitive as actual fights. If we're talking about getting new people in, you know, or having something else to do in a fighting game, I think that's a perfect idea, right? You know, got some items for healing, you know. It really takes the edge of the difficulty, right, of a fighting game. And you can mess around, you know. What's also great about this is, you know, you see me have some pickups. Amongst the pickups could be items like outfit, you know, customization items. The reason why you can find them here is that on your customization items, you know, there can be buffs, you know, like stats, you know, attack power up, health up, stuff like that. And you know, then there's the whole metagame of, you know, like the most difficult stages drop the best gear and you can farm it and whatever. So that's also a part of it. But the genius, again, why I think it's really well done, is because all the gear you get here with all the stats and whatever, you know, those are also customization items you can use in the normal game. Like, that's how you unlock customization in this game, by playing this mode. And you unlock costumes for your character. Whoa, alien? What the fuck? See, that's an item. The little chest, that's a customization piece. Oh, look, hold on, there's an item here. Oh shit! Oh! He killed me! Oh my god! Imagine you're you're new to Tekken. You pick up the game because it looks cool and it has this mode, right? First of all, you pick your favorite character, whoever you think is cool. By playing this mode, you're kind of getting a hint of their moves. You're not going to be doing optimal stuff, you're not going to be doing combos, but who cares? You get to know them, you get to know how they move, how they feel, you get to know what some basic buttons do, and maybe that's enough to play this mode. Whatever, right? And then on top of that, the story mode, like this mode is laid out in a way that at the end of each stage, you're fighting one of the cast members. Which is also a good idea in my opinion, because that's how you get a little taste of everyone in the cast without forcing you to play all of them, right? And you know, maybe it's like a small taste, but you know, you might get to see some of their moves, how they do their shit, and you might say like, oh, this one's pretty cool too, you know? Alright, so man, in this game, I always had one player model as like my customization for playing the fighting game, and then P2 was whatever had good stats, which means you're a clown. Look at this shit, oh my god, she's a clown. Oy, oy, oy. But see, this is the thing though, right? Headpiece, increased drop rate for items, 73%. Nice. What else do I have? Oh, it says right here, all my buffs that I have equipped. And then yeah, if new items drop, you can equip them here, and you know, there's all kinds of buffs you can get, you know. Look, elemental attack fire, randomly inflict fire damage. So you can build a character the way you see fit. The stages are also really diverse. So, you know, the first one is in the forest. I think the second one, let's just do the second one. It's probably somewhere completely different. Yeah, look, it's in the streets. In the warehouse. Now again, I think this is a great mode. There's a lot of shit wrong with this too, right? You know, I do think it's kind of bland in a way. You know, like there's all kinds of environments, but in the end, you know, like I'm just walking straight and then fighting some people and then walking forward again and then fighting some people again. Like it, you know, in the end, it boils down to always the same, but you know. Ooh, kick him out! Bonk! Uh-oh. Uh-oh, I'm in trouble. Oh shit. Miguel. Oh, can I kick him outside? I can't. Oh. Oh, you can! Oh my god, that's cheap. Let's take this as a template, right? Let's imagine, you know, we're in a room, we're brainstorming DOA 7, all right? Whatever. Story mode for DOA 7, and you're like, hey, let's do something like this. We're gonna get people in the game, we're gonna make something cool, whatever. So how do we improve on this? First of all, there's absolutely no voice acting, right? This, I think if you just, whatever you see here and you up the production values up to like the Mortal Kombat level, right? Get some voice acting in there, probably do a little more than some talking at the beginning of the stage, talking at the end, and that's it. You know, you can do something more. You can make the stages maybe a bit longer with checkpoints, maybe a little bit more interesting. You could definitely do that. I definitely think the items, even though, you know, I've been praising like, oh, you can find new items, upgrade, whatever, right? It is fairly limited in this game. You know, at some point you're gonna realize that, oh, there's only this much different abilities you can get, and at some point you're just getting higher numbers of the same ability. You know, you're gonna get a lot of increased health by 50, increased health by 55, increased health by 100, right? You're gonna get a lot of that. So if I were to make a new mode like this, I would make it way more, you know, out there, you know, like really make it that, you know, maybe something with elemental damage. Maybe, you know, your character now, whenever they do a horizontal kick, they shoot like an air beam or whatever, right? You can imagine some shit, right? Like Neo, sure, you can also do something like that. Or yeah, maybe like if you have like a set of armor, you get like a special buff, or actual stats. You could go that way, you know, like actually strength and health and whatever, right? Plus, think about this, right? If there's stuff, like if you can make this interesting enough for people to play it, keep playing to like upgrade a character, maybe have some kind of end game, you know, thing to work towards, you know, almost like a raid or whatever. You know, if you think in terms of modern gaming, you could actually make DLC for this, because this mode is pre-DLC, right? Tekken 6, as far as I know, has never had DLC. So you could actually expand on this through DLC. To the point where, if you think about it, if there's a good enough single player mode that you can sell DLC for it and people buy it, that's crazy good for competitive players, because the game is literally getting funding, you know, maybe only through it or on top of the usual, you know, to continue making the fighting game part of it as well. Paid by people who might not even play the fighting game, who are only playing the single player or whatever, right? I don't know, I feel like this mode, as we're seeing in here, I think is great, although a bit bare bones. And I think if you take everything, the ideas that are in here, and just up by 11, I think you can make a great single player mode. Guys, if you remember, dude, guys is sick. I love guys. Even though it's kind of a messy game to play, it's still hella fun. And the bouncer, oh my god, the bouncer. In fact, you know what? Something like the bouncer as a single player mode would actually be perfect if you think about it. You know, add in some gear system and boom, you can play that shit forever. Don't know if any fighting game aside from Tekken would ever get the budget to do a full single player mode like this. Soul Calibur 6 reused half of the Creative Soul assets already. I mean, sure, but I mean, Mortal Kombat definitely has the budget. They just put it into voice acting and shit like that. But yeah, that's kind of the issue, right? Like, you're basically at the point where if you're gonna invest that much money, you'd almost have to make it good enough to be a game on its own, right? And making a fighting game is already more than enough effort. That's kind of like, you know, what do you do? I definitely feel like something like Granblue is definitely the right idea, you know? Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting topic. I am convinced, no matter what kind it is, good single player content, however that looks to anyone, right? I am convinced that is something fighting games need to focus on way more than they are now. You know, there's been this huge push the last, I don't know, what, 5-6 years in fighting games, to really focus on the esports part of it. And yeah, it definitely is not working out for all of them. For some, this is the thing, right? The one game that people love, that's the one that gets all the money. But you know, Tekken's doing well, but many other fighting games are left in the dust if there's nothing else to do. Mortal Kombat and Tekken, maybe, but Verge Fighter and DOA, yeah, that's the issue, right? It's almost like you have to invest in a product to get potential gains, you know? Uh-oh. Damn, look at the ones in the back. They're Metal Gear. Metal Gear. It can't be. See, this mode is sick. Sneaking motion captured by Harada himself. Probably. That might actually be true. Who knows?